Hello and welcome to the Perth Blue Baggers pod. This is episode 29 and we're going to do our mid-season review. We're doing it in a car, so beware of the sort of ambient noise. As always, my name is Louis, your host.
And I'm Marty on special comments.
So let's delve straight in. What's your overall analysis of the season so far?
Well, look, if you're being frank, you'd have to say it's pretty disappointing. We haven't lived up to our own expectations. We're sitting at 4 and 7, and realistically, if you delve into those four, two of them are North Melbourne and West Coast, probably the two worst teams in the competition.
Yeah.
We didn't even beat Richmond, which is the other third contender, and another win was against St Kilda, pretty decent win. We had one good win in the first half of the season, and that's really against Geelong.
Yeah.
And then there's a host of other games which were right in it, but we really faded away late. And I think that's been the story of the season in many respects.
Yeah.
So I think we would see this season as a season of missed opportunities today.
Very true. So what's gone wrong is basically the second half fade-outs. Very common every game. There's only been one game where we've probably been, or maybe two games where we've been probably dealt a loss where we're never in it. The Adelaide game and GWS, because we're never actually leading for most of that game. But even that one, I still think we could have got over the line if we were more efficient going inside 50.
If you look at it, there's one game all season, Adelaide, where we got flogged.
Yeah.
That was our worst game of the season. Every other game, we're in it. Even against Collingwood, Hawthorn, a number of other decent teams, we're in it. So it shows that we're mixing it with every other team. We're just not putting four quarters together. We're not finishing games well generally. And I think that the other ones, which we'll delve into a bit further, we know that there's some really clear problems in terms of ball movement, particularly inside 50. So we know where some of the problems are.
Yeah, and the players know it too. Charlie Kerner has spoken of it. Jake Wiedering has spoken of it during this bye. The bye has been very important for a reset, I think, both for the fans and the players.
I think fans need to, they need to calm down as well. I think we tend to get carried away. There's actually some fundamentals here which are good. The fundamentals are that we are winning a lot of the football. We're usually winning the contested ball, not every game, but most games. So we're getting hold of the ball. We're going inside 50 quite frequently.
Yeah.
And all of those show that we've got a lot of things right, but there's some fundamental problems in terms of how we use our ball, our efficiency, and particularly our efficiency going inside 50. I think probably hasn't helped that we haven't found a good small forward combination, which I think is still a glaring weakness for the club. It didn't help having Zach Williams injured a fair bit of the season. But we definitely can't blame this on injuries on the whole.
No.
I don't think we've had some injuries, but nothing earth-shattering. I mean, obviously those three players are out for the season don't help. Probably someone like Jacob you're hoping he'd add a bit of pace in the midfield.
Yeah.
He's not going to play all season, probably. You think?
No,
Newman's presence in the back line would be missed, and of course Brody
may
Kemp.
come back.
He's the one most likely out of the three of them, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, I don't think the other ones are any chance.
No.
But yeah, I guess we'll see. I think reports are saying maybe late July, early August could come back. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
that's just sources.
With the knee reconstruction, that would be a phenomenal effort.
Yeah. Whatever you had, yeah. So, what's gone right? So, obviously, you said inside 50s and being able to get it inside 50. Well, our defence has been pretty strong as well.
I think if you singled out one area that's gone right, it's our defence.
Yeah.
We've had a fantastic defence. We're hard to score against. Again, for the fans, this is the fundamental. If you've got a leaky defence, that's a big problem. if you've got a solid defence, that's a good foundation to build off.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the biggest story of the season for us, and positive story of the season, is the form of Jack Silvagni, Jacob Wiedering, always good, and Nick Haynes.
Yeah.
They've been fantastic. And there's been, generally our backmen have been pretty good. I mean, they're the three standouts from my view. But I mean, Saad's been pretty good. McGovern's been pretty good. He's had the odd, poor game, etc. But
a bit of a whipping boy.
Yeah, I think it's always been a bit of a whipping boy for Colton fans because we paid a bit to get him, and he's on a big contract and all of that sort of stuff. He's stuck with us. And McGovern at his best is a very damaging player. So
very good at his intercepts.
So I mean, that's what's gone right, our defence.
Yep. So I've gone into that. So most improved. You've said a few players there.
Most improved. I've got my winner, but I'll mention one other fella who should be right up there, and that's George Hewitt. George Hewitt has been our best midfielder this year, and who would have predicted that at the start of the season? With the like of Cripps, Walsh, Chera, etc. He's been outstanding. He's been consistent. He's been outstanding. He's been good even when we're losing, which is always a yardstick. He's not a downhill skier. He's been really consistent. Hats off to him. There's a few other players that have improved, I think, but for me, the most improved player in the club is Jack Silvagni.
Yeah.
Who would have picked how well he's excelled in defence? Maybe it's in his genes. His old man's probably the greatest fullback ever in the history of the game, but he's really found his niche there. And I mean, he will fight for every single ball. Jack Silvagni. He gives you nothing. I've also been impressed with his ball use.
Yeah.
I think he's been smart with his ball use. And late in games, I think that's if there's one criticism of some of our players have panicked a little bit, particularly in those first four games when we were 0-4, we were just throwing the ball in the boot. And I mean, he tends to use the ball pretty wisely, but he's very hard to get a kick on, Jack Silvagni. So, he's been amazing.
Agreed. So let's go into, I guess, some of the few players their stats. Some of the notable performers. So George Hewitt averaging 27.8 disposals. I could go through lots of them of the stats, but I'll only mention like 3. 6.7 clearances and 5.9 tackles and 6.5 score involvements. Nick Haynes 16.3 disposals, 8.5 marks, 4.51 percenters and 7.2 intercepts. Jack Silvagni 13.9 disposals, 6.6 marks, 6.1 intercepts, 5.71 percenters. Chera's also been quite good, very consistent. 25.5 disposals, 5 clearances, 4.9 inside 50s and 5.8 score involvement, so pretty handy there, all above average. Cripper, though he may be down from last year's best, he's still been very, very good. But still top 20 midfielders, I'd say, in the comp. So 24.4 disposals, always getting the contested possessions with 13.9, 6.8 clearances and 6.2 score involvements. Cooper Lord's been a bit of a gem.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd probably be my third most improved.
Yeah.
After Silvagni and Hewitt, I'd say. Lord, good on him. It's been exciting to watch.
And Ollie Hollands has also been good, but I don't have the stats here with me. But that's okay. He's been consistent. Anyone else that you can think of?
Oh, look, would be the three standouts. I mean, I don't know if you can call him most improved when he wasn't at the club last season, but Nick Haynes has been fantastic. Yeah. I think a little bit copped a bit of flack in his first game and didn't have a great game, but he's stepped up ever since. Been fantastic, and I was hoping he'd be useful and serviceable and fill a gap. but he's done a lot more than that. I mean, his intercept work is fantastic. He's a really sort of honest, tough defender, and love watching him play.
So who's sort of gone missing a bit or has underperformed?
Oh, look, I think it's fair to say we should be disappointed in our small forwards. I don't think they've really delivered on the whole. I don't think you could find... Durden's been okay, I thought, in parts. I think he had one or two really good games there in the midfield. I think Will White's managed to win a bit of the football, so that's good to see.
Yeah.
But I think, after that, you really couldn't say our small forwards have had impact, could you?
No.
In fact, often they've been probably the worst 4 or 5 players in a given game.
They've honestly been a liability rather than...
I really think that's been a massive gap. And what's disappointing from the club is if you looked at their last couple of selections and the ones they've tried to unearth. Will White, like I said, it's been okay.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of the footy, and I think he would have liked to finish a bit better in front of goal, but that's okay. I love his energy, enthusiasm, and he's coming along okay. But really, I think outside of that, you wouldn't be excited with their performance.
Jesse Bottlott and Francis Evans, probably the worst of the lot. Williams, we'd obviously want more games out of him, I guess, because he's been injured largely this season.
Yeah, I think that's a different type of disappointment. It's not disappointment in how he's played, it's disappointment in the circumstances and not having him on the field. That's been a real gap. If he'd played more, that might be a different story. I think that he's probably our most lively small to medium forward.
And Fogarty's also been good, even though he really by injury as well.
Yeah, I should cover Fogarty. Look, Fogarty, he adds a lot, not just in goal kicking, because he puts so much pressure on his opponents.
Yeah.
So he's been okay too.
Yes. And then going into the midfield, I think probably the most notable is Blake Acres. Incredibly consistent in 2023 and 2024. Had an interrupted pre-season, let's not forget, but has not quite delivered this season. Maybe it's time for a bit of VFL action to try and get some form in. We'll see it worked on Doc. So
yeah, it's not a bad suggestion. A bit of time in the twos might be good for Acres. We've loved watching him play in the past, and he's delivered a lot. It's instrumental to the 23 push.
Yeah.
But let's face it, he hasn't had a great season. I wouldn't think. His ball use at times has been fantastic, and it worked for Doc. Doc he would admit by his own reasoning that he didn't start the season well, and he went back to the twos, got a bit of form. Got a lot of touches, used the ball well, those sort of things, and he's come back contributing more.
Half back where he belongs.
There's nothing wrong with playing guys in the twos for a while, getting a bit of form into them if they're not playing exceptionally well, and bring them back.
Yeah. Same with the likes of Jesse Bottlott and Francis Evans, right? We don't think we should get rid of them yet or anything. We just think develop some more skills in the VFL.
Well, you make those decisions. You always make decisions at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Not now. And the season's still got enough in it so that those guys can play better footy in the twos, find their form.
Yeah. They can still play 7 or 8 games. Maybe.
Yeah, that's right. They can still make an impact in the latter part of the season. Not winning a lot of the footy at the moment, not having the impact they'd like to have.
Yeah. Then forward line. Charlie Curnow has probably been a little down because sure he's been kicking goals and he's still top 10 in the Common. He just, for his standards, not quite enough output, and he seems to be going missing in the second half.
So Charlie's still playing some good footy. He's not being disgraced. I think it's actually a bit of a story for a lot of our players. They're not playing really poorly, but they're not at their real peak.
Yeah.
And I think that's true of Charlie. I think his first half output is better than his second half output, which has been a problem because it's in our second half that's been the team's problem. And what you need is your experienced and top performers to really step up when you need it.
Yeah.
And he's done that in the past, in previous seasons. It would be really helpful if he can have a big second half of the season and really sort of stamp his authority on the game at times. So I think that we'd love to see some big second halves from Curnow in the second half of the season.
Indeed. And Harry Mackay, he's contributed to 2 clutch performances in Geelong and St Kilda, instrumental to those 2 wins. But unfortunately, he's been dealt with a lot of injury.
And off-field issues.
And off-field personal issues, which we obviously don't know what that is about. Same with Elijah, who's also had some not playing a few games because of personal reasons.
Both those guys at their best are fantastic and are really critical to the team's success. And both of those guys, we'd like to see them out in the paddock a little bit more. It'd be great to see them out in the paddock a bit more. And when you play football game after game, that's when you're match fit and your really helps.
Yeah.
If you have interrupted seasons, it's very hard. So perhaps they'll work out for them in the second half of the season. Both of them and patches like Harry, those 2 games was fantastic. Peak Harry is exceptional.
Yeah.
He's one of the best markers of the game. He's the guy you want on your team late in a game when you need people to stand up.
Yeah.
Because you can kick the ball down the line to him, and he's very hard to stop, even spoil.
Yeah. Great contested mark.
Yeah, he's a fantastic contested mark. So we'd love to see him sort of playing consistent game after game, getting his form right, getting the red hot form, and that would I'm sure that will help the team. I always think with Elijah, he's our X factor.
Yeah.
He seems to be able to do things on the footy field that a lot of other players can't. It's not just he'll snap an incredible goal, but he'll also see someone out of the corner of his eye and just hit them up 30 metres or something. He's got a real spark to him, Elijah, and our team is at its best when he's playing.
So in the mid-season draft, we've gone and got someone who's similar to Elijah, I reckon. Plays wing and half-forward sort of role. His name is Flynn Young, so we'll watch him play in the VFL for round 13, probably, because he's not named in the team this week. We can go into some of those team things soon. So you could have him. Maybe they got him if Elijah isn't playing much for the rest of the season. I don't know. Could be a replacement player. I don't know.
Well, I think he's not just a replacement for Elijah.
It's also an addition.
I think it said that he's got speed.
Yeah.
Ball movement's been difficult for us at times. We've got a lot of good ball winners, which you desperately need. But a few of those runners that really add pace and speed and deliver the ball well, that's what we could do with 1 or 2 extra. We haven't really mentioned Matt Cottrell.
Oh yeah.
Who's one of our best runners on the team, but he's been injured a good part of the season. He's been missed because his run is really essential.
Two-way running.
Yep, he runs back as well. He gives you that extra guy in defence and in attack when we go forward or when we turn over the football.
Yeah, there's another player. And then we've had quite a few players make their debut, and so we've had Lucas Camporelli early in the season, who I think is a bit stiff to be dropped. Then we've had Matt Carroll, who's been given a go. I think he's been pretty good with his kicks. Seem to be his X factor.
Both these guys are showing plenty of potential. I think Luke was a little bit stiff. He only played a few games and then he was dropped. And And with young players, brand new players into the system, you've got to give them a bit of time. And look, it might be that he'll come back after those games in the VFL and be a more complete player.
Yeah.
So look, it's I think he showed a bit. I think it might have been his second game for memory. He got maybe about 21 touches or something.
First
like that.
game, 20.
Yeah, he really showed a lot that day. I was like, wow, this guy's got something. Those guys are not going to have outstanding games every week.
Yeah.
So you do need to be a bit patient with them. And ideally what you've got in a given team is you've got, 5 to 10 really outstanding players, another 5, 6, 7, 8 really solid players, and then you can actually bring along a couple of newer players that are finding their feet, and they don't have to win 20 possessions every game. But I don't think we've got enough of our other performers performing well enough to permit that at the moment. Now Matt Carroll's sort of in the same boat. He's only made his debut this season. He's a little bit older. I think at various times he's looked fantastic.
Yeah.
In some games he's performed a bit better than others. But for me, he's shown enough. He's intercepting quite well. He's made some really good passes, etc. For me, he's shown enough for us to really assist with him a bit longer.
Yeah. And then we've had Harry O'Farrell make his debut. It was pretty good. Unfortunately, he got dropped probably because Sauce is coming back in. Fair enough. But I think he showed quite a lot of potential against GWS. Got a few outmarked in a few contests, but you expect that he, he's learning his craft as well. Any other players that made their debut? We will have Hudson O'Keefe, who's had a bit more of a forward line impact in the VFL lately. So he's making his way for Harry Mackay within knee soreness for round 13. So keen to see what he's got.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
Hopefully you can hear. And then VFL watch. Keep your eye out for Harry Lemmy, who I think was probably a bit stiff to have not gotten in and over Hudson O'Keefe actually. There.
Yeah.
He kicked 7 against Sydney. So that was impressive. And also keep your eye out for Billy Wilson and Ben Camporelli. Billy Wilson off half-back, a bit like Sard. Plenty of run and probably being the most consistent player actually in the VFL side. And Ben Camporelli had a great 34 disposal game, I think, a few weeks ago. So he's a inside midfielder, so if we have an injury or something, he might come in and replace. Worth a try.
Yeah, there's some real good options there, longer term options there. People, a lot of people tend to rate Ben Camporelli, say he's over time he's going to be a great footballer.
Yeah.
So, he's just entered the system, and with good teams, they're not actually debuting a heap of players straight away.
Yeah.
Generally, you do have to spend a bit of time learning your craft, and then when you come in, you're a little bit more complete player.
I think we've done it perfectly this season, actually.
Yeah, just with enough debuts to give people a taste, but not overdoing it, maybe.
Yeah.
At the one time.
Matt Carroll's basically replaced Cowan. Cowan also injury.
Yeah, Cowan's had a lot of injuries, so he has not been on the paddock much. A guy who's sort of slipped back in terms of the pecking order a little bit, I guess, is Jordan Boyd.
Yeah.
Who's would have been a first choice selection at times in the past, and appears to be a bit behind Cowan and even perhaps Matt Carroll at the moment.
Yeah.
And look, you just never know though. In the back half of the season, when you see injuries,
Yeah.
His time might come.
Hopefully. Now let's get into some trade and list talk. So a lot of talk, obviously, because we're 4-7. Media likes to sort of grab the Carlton fans' attention with big headlines suggesting, we should trade Sam Walsh, Harry Mackay, or Charlie Curnow for picks so we can improve our ball movement and all that. What do you have to say?
I just think such notions are rubbish. Complete lunacy.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of armchair critics down there. Carlton has spent years developing Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay to be outstanding footballers, and they are absolute strengths that the team should build around.
Yeah.
You build around your strengths. Most clubs would die to have players of the calibre of Charlie and Harry. Sure, they're not probably at their peak performance. We've talked through why, but they're absolute match winners, both of them.
Yeah.
And they've proved that time and again. And they're not our problem.
Yeah.
They're our two best goal kickers. Our problem is we don't have enough good small forwards around them.
It wouldn't be a discussion.
We're not delivering the ball well enough inside 50. So, and that's been shown again and again. So, given we know that, the idea that we probably trade away our absolute strengths is ridiculous. Charlie has been one of the most consistent forwards in the competition over the last 5 years. Won several Coleman medals. Even last year, he's on track for a Coleman before some injuries and a few things led to a late fade off, and didn't get there. But he's been an outstanding contributor, Charlie. So, it's just nuts in my view. They're your absolute talent, your top end talent. Sam Walsh as well. It's kind of.
Yeah, we didn't speak about him. He's had a bit of
some commentators have the attention span of a gnat. Honestly, it's only a couple of seasons ago that he was the best player in the finals, and people live in the here and now. Okay, he's not been at his peak either, not in terms of impact, but his talent, his ability to impact on a game are extraordinary. So unless you're trading him for another outstanding talent, you simply shouldn't be trading him. He's a great player, and I think he's still pretty young. Many people regard him as a future club captain. He might be Cripps' successor. He plays with passion and heart. He gives it his all, and I'm backing him to bounce back. Sam Walsh, he had an interrupted pre-season as well. I've seen a couple of times in previous seasons where the back half of his season has been better than the front half of his season.
Yeah.
So I'm backing Sam Walsh in, and it's just, I think it's been crazy. In my view on Sam Walsh, I reckon there's always been a few people that have underrated him. The sort of people, Connor Rosie's better, or Butters is better, or someone else has picked below him is better. And I don't know who's better, but I just know he's a damn good player. And he's been fantastic for us, and we should be hanging on to him. It's not those guys. It's let's look at how we're putting the right talent around them.
So true. And then obviously TDK probably looking more likely to leave than unlikely, just because of a few comments you can make from like Weetering discussing that what should happen like the NBA where players have already moved or something, and everyone's quiet about it.
Look, honestly, I think he just wants to make his decision at the end of the season and be done with it.
Yeah.
And he probably will. And it sounds like the Blues have put an offer to him, and he'll take it or he won't. And you have a salary cap. You can't retain all your players for the high price tags.
Yeah.
And if we lose him, that's unfortunate. I really like TDK. He's a great player, and he's one of those rare players that he's not a good ruckman, but he's fantastic around the ground. He can go forward. I wouldn't mind seeing him play a bit more forward this year.
Might see that with Hudson O'Keefe in this week.
Yeah, it's possible that might be their tactic with Harry out, is that Hudson O'Keefe plays a bit in the ruck and move TDK forward.
Yeah.
Because he can take a great mark, and he's impacted on games. I still remember the Melbourne semi-final where we were really struggling early, and they moved him forward. He took 2 towering marks and slotted 2 big goals.
Yeah.
Got us going. So he's definitely got that kind of ability, and he plays well all over the ground. But you can't hang on to everyone, and if the price tag's too high, it's too high.
Yep, and Bittersweet would get some draft picks for him which might be useful. Invest in a small forward, invest in a ball user.
I think probably the two things that the club would have its mind on, I would have thought, is a small forward, still trying to find the right one, but also probably, again, someone a bit like Jagger Smith, someone that's quick, that's an elite ball user, that gives you a run.
Yeah. So, season is not over yet. The thing that could save us really is what they call a easier month of football ahead, where we could, get ahead and be back into sort of finals contention. But you can't go into games with a guaranteed win. You have to go out and do the work, as we saw, because we, obviously lost to Richmond earlier on, thinking that we were going to win. But they showed immense fight, so you never know what teams will produce.
Yeah, we've got to, the pundits are saying we've got a softer draw.
Yeah.
And look, on paper that's true. And it's true also that West Coast and North Melbourne last time round probably helped us find a bit of form, which is good.
Yeah.
But you can't just rely on that.
No.
We've got a big game against Essendon, really. I don't really rate Essendon that highly. I think we should be able to beat them. But every team will beat us if we play badly. You've got to play your best football if you expect to win games. And this will be a real litmus test as to whether the team has been able to refocus after the bye.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious about that. Like I said, some very winnable games coming up. Last time we played West Coast and North Melbourne, I felt that gave us a bit of some momentum.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not very strong teams, but they allowed us to start playing football the way we wanted to play football, and that led to the wins against Geelong and St Kilda.
Yeah.
So we had that one period where we played some good football. We probably need to find that form again, and maybe this could be the jump start we need.
Yep, hopefully. And then you got Port Adelaide over in Adelaide, so that's going to be a tough test, but we beat them over there last time, and they're not in very good form either. A lot could change though in between then, so we shall see.
I reckon that's another one of those great games, because if we're playing really well, we'll beat them.
Yeah.
If we're playing poorly, we'll have no chance. I mean, it states the bleedingly obvious, but I think that's one of those really winnable games when you're playing well. It's not every game's. Some games you're playing really strong teams, you're probably not expected to win. If we've got some good momentum going into that game, it's the kind of game you should win.
Yep. And then you got Collingwood, and then some tough tests after that with Hawthorn, I think, as well. And not much reprieve after, I don't think.
It's a very even competition.
Yeah.
This competition this season. I think practically any team on their day can knock off any other team. So leave aside, so maybe West Coast and North Melbourne.
Yeah.
But Richmond, can't believe they beat us.
Yeah.
But the other 15 teams, they're pretty much on their day should be in the hunt, and we're no different.
Isn't that great for footy as well?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's really good. There's a lot of really good games.
I've never been more consumed this year and last year because of how tight it is all the time.
Yeah, a lot of really tight games. There's teams that can get flogged one week and bounce back the next week.
Yeah.
So that's what gives you hope, because if we get on a run, start playing some good football the way we know we can play it, particularly improving our ball movement inside 50, I think then we're right in the hunt.
Indeed. And then obviously the teams that do best are the ones that are most consistent, and unfortunately Collingwood is the one that's looking the most consistent lately, and everyone else has had a few hiccups here and there. Adelaide reasonably strong as well, and Brisbane, and then there's everyone else who are a bit iffy.
Oh, there's a lot of teams. Geelong's a good example of a team.
Oh yeah, Geelong's
when they're playing well are very hard to beat, but they're vulnerable at other times.
Yeah.
And we seem to have a pretty good recent track record against them.
Yeah. Well, that will do us. I think we've covered everything I wanted to. That's very comprehensive. So I covered everything on the agenda there. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good weekend, and we look forward to hopefully a better second half of the season. Hope you all had a great rest. And make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram. That's a very big help, and we're continuing to grow. Catch you soon. Up the Baggers.
Calm the Blues.